So the WBC president, Suleiman, recently came out claiming that Tyson Fury owes Deontay Wilder a trilogy match. He too now applying pressure on Tyson Fury to honor his rematch clause. Here is what the WBC president had to say. Quote, "There is an issue that we are aware of that Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder have some sort of mediation process going on. And that's the only thing, but we don't have any details." End of the quote, Suleiman told Sky Sports. In addition to that, Suleiman added, "We are just hoping that everything gets resolved and everybody is happy and we see great fights inside the ring." Then when asked about Deontay Wilder, Suleiman said, "The greatest knockout ratio, the percentage is unbelievable. And he is a very dear fighter, a champion in the WBC, and he deserves, of course, another opportunity. He gave Tyson Fury the opportunity and Tyson Fury beat him, knocked him out. And of course, Wilder is in the mix. He deserves an opportunity and we will see how things evolve in the coming year." End of the quote. Also, some honorable mentions. The WBC president Suleiman stated that Tyson Fury have his full support, which don't surprise me at all because Suleiman, he's still claiming that he haven't watched Deontay Wilder accusation video to this day when the video went viral. And to make matter worse, the WBC happened to be part of the event. I'm still contemplating to make a video on that. I might talk about it on Split Decision. However, for the meantime, let's focus on the business at hand. Now, the WBC comments don't surprise me at all. I mean, it would have been super outrageous if Suleiman said otherwise, knowing that Deontay Wilder had a rematch clause. And like Suleiman pointed out, Wilder gave Tyson Fury an opportunity. He gave Tyson Fury a 50-50 split. He brought Tyson Fury out of the mud around the time Tyson Fury was looking to make up stories about why he went to depression. So even though Tyson Fury took steroids in the past, Deontay Wilder still gave Tyson Fury an opportunity. All for Fury to turn around and find another way to cheat. It's always another method. Living up to the quote, "Once a cheater, you will always be a cheater." And you already know what the cheetah does. It runs the jungle, not because it's the king of the jungle. That will always remain to the one with the most heart, but because it's the fastest animal in the jungle. That's why Fury could be a cheetah all day. He could run, but he could never hide. The truth will always find you. Therefore, the pressure is piling up on Tyson Fury. This time around, he might hit depression for real, for real. Furthermore, history is in the making as we speak. Deontay was already successful during the first steps of mediation by blocking Tyson Fury from cherry-picking Kabylie. The moment Tyson Fury lied to the world, claiming the rematch clause was expired, which turned out to be just another one of Tyson Fury's ultimate lies. With that being stated, for the moment, if both teams can't come to a mutual agreement, this is definitely going to hit arbitration real soon, which won't end well for Tyson Fury, and I can promise you that. Because as soon as Tyson Fury gets sued, his career is over for life. Because one thing you can't dispute is witnesses / hard evidence. However, if both parties come to a mutual agreement, then obviously the trilogy is on. One of the biggest fights of all time. And it's safe to say the trilogy will be the most important fight of all time in the sport of boxing, because there is so much on the line. This will change the landscape in the sport of boxing forever. Therefore, if this comes to fruition, I have to give Deontay Wilder a lot of credit for choosing this route. The fact that Wilder wants to get his revenge with his own hands in the ring, not outside of the ring, in the court of law, shows you what kind of character Deontay Wilder has. We're talking about a real-life warrior, a real-life soldier who lives by the sword and is willing to die by the sword. That's why you best believe if the trilogy does come to fruition, Wilder will be bringing 2 hammers all the way from Alabama. That's why Tyson Fury, in order to even out the playing field, in his mind, he had to tamper with his gloves. Because Fury felt if the fight is on an even playing field, Deontay Wilder has a cheat code that God blessed him with, which is his right hand, which will come in full effect in the trilogy this time around. Since the fight will be on an even playing field, because all eyes will be on Tyson Fury like he's Tupac this time around, which will make this fight one of the biggest fights of all time, and more importantly, the most important fight of all time, because we never ran into this type of situation on this level where a fighter from the hope list cheated to this extent against a fighter on the coincidental list. And in the aftermath, old media, including the fans, chose to side with the cheater, treating him like a hero while treating the victim like the villain. I've never seen this before. Maybe it's because I'm a 90s baby. But you best believe this ain't a coincidence. History always repeats itself, and this is nothing but a repeat of history. However, because it's on this magnitude, on this level, this fight just became the most important fight of all time. We already know if it was the other way around, Deontay Wilder will be charged for attempted murder as we speak. But obviously, Tyson Fury has the best hope insurance in the world. He got the complexion for the connection to get the ultimate protection. You think you got full cover insurance just because you got Geico? You better think again, because Tyson Fury Hope Insurance is way better than Geico. Geico has nothing on Tyson Fury Hope Insurance. You best believe that much. The reason why this fight will be so lucrative, the reason why this fight is so important on so many different levels, is because it's for all marvels. I recently talked to my lawyer, Israel, in which he informed me Tyson Fury is pretty much pleading guilty if he doesn't honor his rematch and fight Deontay Wilder a third time, especially after being accused of cheating with evidence and witnesses backing it up. However, if Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder in the trilogy without cheating, then that will definitely hurt Deontay Wilder in the court of law, because Tyson Fury was able to defeat Wilder even without cheating. Doesn't mean he did not cheat. However, it will give Fury a way out to some sort in the defense case, depending how Fury wins. On the other hand, if Deontay Wilder beats Tyson Fury, he doesn't just win a lawsuit after that. That's the least impact that Wilder will make. Wilder will make so much impact, in which he will change the landscape in the sport of boxing by exposing the double standards that exist in the sport, the racism that exists in the sport, which is a reflection of real life. Wilder will also expose old media and their biased agenda. I told you guys before, this is bigger than Wilder versus Fury. What makes this fight so massive? It's always been about black and white to them. If Wilder wins the trilogy, he goes from being a legend to an Ali level icon. Forget being the MJ on the court. If Wilder wins, he becomes the Ali of our time. See, everybody loves Muhammad Ali now because he's no longer around. He's no longer a threat. But you best believe all these people bashing Deontay Wilder, they would have did the same thing to Ali when he stood up for his people. And it's safe to say Deontay Wilder is the most hated since Muhammad Ali. See, people tend to forget that Muhammad Ali was the most hated athlete of all time. But everybody love him now. However, why did people hate him that much back in his day? What did he do? If you peep Ali, he was a beautiful person in and out of the ring. He has so much charisma, so much character, so much life. I still watch all of his interviews to this day. I watch him sometimes for comedy, sometimes for real life advice, etc., etc., etc. That's why one person I wish I had a chance of meeting was Muhammad Ali, because he brought life to the sport. More importantly, he carried a nation behind his back. So why did he receive all that hate? It's very simple. All because he happened to be a Muslim and on the coincidental list, standing up for his people. That's apparently a crime. And that crime still exists to this day. That's exactly the kind of crime Deontay Wilder committed. Therefore, if Deontay Wilder is victorious with the load on his back that could fold up a mountain, then that will be the greatest victory of all time inside of that ring. To face that type of double standards on that scale and prevail, that will definitely put Deontay Wilder as high up as the highest of them all, Muhammad Ali. Remember, Suleiman said Tyson Fury victory over Deontay Wilder was one of the biggest wins of the century. The century. You know what that means? If we go back a century ago in the heavyweight division, that's when Jack Johnson beat Jeffrey. There were riots because Jack Johnson won. Jeffrey only agreed to fighting Jack Johnson after Jack Johnson agreed to signing a deal in which Jeffrey will always get a portion of his purse from that point forward. A century later, they created a Rocky in real life by placing the setup of the century in which the cheetah of the century, Tyson Fury, executed by becoming the Jeffrey of our time that actually defeated the Jack Johnson of our time. That's why this is the win of the century to them. It does not matter what Tyson Fury had to do to get the job done, as long as he got the job done. So if he cheated, so be it. This is the win of the century. That's why if the win of the century is Tyson Fury cheating, you best believe Deontay Wilder knocking out the cheater will be the greatest victory inside of that ring, which makes this fight the most important fight of all time. Not just Wilder and Fury careers, but more so the sport as a whole. That's why Deontay Wilder will be wise if he could secure the Trilogy to enforce random drug testing by USADA, Olympic-style drug testing. Me personally, I don't trust that WBC VADA testing after they increased the computer roll limit that a fighter could have in his system. One thing you best believe, Wilder will have so much confidence going into that Trilogy fight, knowing that Tyson Fury had to cheat in order to get the upper hand. And confidence is very dangerous. That's why the king of the jungle is the lion. Who runs the jungle is not the cheater, who happened to be the fastest. It ain't the elephant, who happened to be one of the strongest, but it's the lion, because that's the one with the most heart. And that's exactly what Deontay Wilder brings to the table. So as long as he fights smart, then Tyson Fury's life is in danger inside of that ring. With that being stated, subscribe below if you're trying to get smarter by the minute. If you're trying to get dumber by the second, don't. And listen to these decaps, the dumb casual ass fans / old media that don't know shit about boxing. Word to Roger Mayweather, may he rest in peace, inshallah. And shout out to my broski, my Akhi Deontay, for being the entrepreneur of new media that I'm a part of. New media agenda is the whole absolute truth. 3 things that will always come out: the sun, the moon, and the truth. The truth may take some time, a day, a year, but you best believe it will eventually come out. The truth is absolute. With that being stated, click on the notification bell to get notified every time I post or go live on Split Decision. It's a boxing debate / talk show mixed, master engineer, produced by yours truly, Akhi, the past, present, and future undisputed pound for pound. When it comes to debating, I got these decaf shook. They scared to look every time Akhi is on TV, because the truth is always bad news for these decafs. The truth happened to be their kryptonite. Therefore, shout out to all of my Akhis, all of my broskis. I've been humbled by all of the love and support, and to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, Ak TV. Peace, and we out here.